Welcome back to another episode with Fight Pass with Mitch, presented by Notorious Pulls Radio. And for this week's event, we're going to be going over a featherweight matchup that is super exciting, and I can't wait to talk about it. That's Max Blessed Holloway versus Arnold Allen. That will be taking place April 15th at the T-Mobile Center, not in Vegas, but at Kansas City, Missouri at 8:30 p.m. On this card will be a lot of exciting fights that we will break down. So before we get started, remember, if you're new to our show, please leave a like, follow, and subscribe us on all social media platforms. So let's get into it. Max Holloway versus Arnold Allen. Max Holloway, as you know, is the former champion of the featherweight division. Obviously, he was decrowned by the great Alexander Volkanovski. His opponent, Arnold Almighty Allen, the number 4 ranked featherweight in the UFC, is getting the main event to finally show what he is made out of. As you know, Max Holloway has already lost to Alexander Volkanovski 3 times. So it is going to be very hard for him to justify a 4th fight unless he pulls a string of wins against the top contenders in the featherweight division. As you know, Allen currently is on a 10-fight winning streak. He has fantastic wrestling, fantastic striking. He's an insane cardio machine, and I think this is the perfect matchup that the matchmakers could have made for these two top-level featherweights to go in a 5-round fight. I don't see this being a 3-round fight. I'm super excited that these two get to settle their differences in 25 minutes. As you know, Arnold Allen trains out of the UK. He is a very young fighter who has a lot of talent. His last win, which was against Calvin Kattar, I can't say it's his fault because Calvin Kattar had a freak injury and we were not really able to see that fight fully develop and see all the tools that Arnold Allen has. But we obviously got to see a beautiful win when he went against Dan Hooker and Sodiq Yusuff. His dancing partner, which everyone knows, Max Blessed Holloway, is no slouch. But having lost 3 times to Alexander Volkanovski, beating Yair Rodriguez, who's currently the interim featherweight champ, and beating Calvin Kattar, it kind of puts the division in a funk. So if Max beats Arnold, the story kind of plays out in a weird way. I just see the matchmakers putting Arnold against Max to kind of close the chapter on what we would say would be the blessed era and giving these new up and coming rising stars the chance and respect that they need to contend in this featherweight division. This will be Arnold Allen's absolute biggest test of his career, and I do believe that he has all the tools in the arsenal to succeed. I'm really excited that on April 15th, this will be the main event. And to me, if this was a pay-per-view, I would pay to watch this fight. That's how talented both these fighters are. The co-main event is going to be absolutely fantastic also. And this is against one of my favorite UFC fighters. I have been watching him since high school, and that's Edson Barboza. He's been in the UFC since 2010, and he already has 27 fights with the promotion. That is absolutely insane. He's going against one of my favorite fighters and a local fighter, and that's in Billy Quarantillo. He's 17-4, and he is a very talented featherweight. I'm really happy that the UFC is giving Billy Quarantillo the co-main event slot on this fight night. Billy has pulled a beautiful string of wins in the featherweight division. His last fight, he put an absolute clinic against Alexander Hernandez. He had lost a very tough decision to Shane Burgos, had a fantastic win against Gabriel Benitez. He lost to Gavin Tucker, had a great win against Kyle Nelson, and has just been absolutely relentless. And he's a very risky fight for any featherweight in the division. As you know, Barboza has fought everyone. There isn't a UFC fighter between the lightweight and the featherweight division that Barboza hasn't faced. But unfortunately, he is on a 2-fight losing streak. His last loss was to Bryce Mitchell, and also another fan favorite fighter, and that's in Giga Chikadze. Obviously, the fight with Giga Chikadze was absolutely spectacular because, as you know, Barboza is a fantastic kickboxer. But if you watch Barboza's fights, you understand he starts very fast. He has those relentless chopping leg kicks, but it's something about getting into the third, fourth, and fifth rounds is where he tires out, and that's usually if the fighters are able to withstand the storm in the first and second round, is where he usually gets mauled and he's able to be finished in the third round. So the key for Billy to having a successful night is to literally weather that first 5 minutes. It's Edson Barboza is a very fast starter when it comes to him fighting. It's just his longevity and his cardio does not hold up, and he has taken massive amounts of damage in his UFC career. Whether this will be Barboza's last fight, it's still to be determined, but I do believe he's slowly going toward the end of his career, and I have been nothing but respect for this fighter, and I'm very happy that he gets to fight Billy Quarantillo. I'm going to have to rock with Billy Quarantillo that night because he's a New York stud. He trains with Matt Frivola. He trains with all the guys down in Tampa with Matt Arroyo. I'm a big fan of the Squid, Billy Quarantillo. I think he's a fantastic grappler. He's a cardio machine, and he fights like a zombie. Doesn't matter how much damage he takes, he keeps coming forward and he breaks down his fighters. So I really like his styles. Styles make matchups. And as long as Billy can weather out the storm that Barboza is going to give him, I see him being victorious Saturday night. The next matchup that I'm going to discuss is two light heavyweights, and that's in Justin Jacoby versus Azamat Murzakanov. So, as you know, a lot of you guys might not know Murzakanov, but he's actually in the top 15 in the light heavyweight division. He is an undefeated fighter with the nickname The Professional. Dustin Jacoby, fighting out of Denver, Colorado, record of 18-6, had a really tough split decision loss to Khalil Roundtree, which was a very controversial fight. A lot of people believe that Dustin did enough to win that fight, but like I said, it was in the judges' decisions, and there's nothing the fans or the promotion can do. They gave him the loss to Khalil Roundtree. The fight prior to that, he fought at the UBS Arena, which Notorious Radio was at, and he had a beautiful first round KO versus Da Un Jung. He was on a 4-fight winning streak prior to that. He is a fantastic kickboxer, but I don't think he's faced the level of competition is in Azamat Murzakanov. Murzakanov is currently on a 3-fight winning streak with the promotion. He had a fantastic win on Dana White's Contender Series. He had a beautiful knee knockout against Tafon Nanchukwi, and he also TKO'd Devin Clark. I did a lot of research on Azamat, and most of his fights in the 12 fights that he's been as a professional, a lot of them have been finishes. This is a fighter that does not leave the option for the judges to decide for him. He loves to finish his fights, and he's very talented, and I do believe he is going to overwhelm Justin Jacoby on Saturday night. So please keep an eye on them. These are big boys, light heavyweights, throwing a lot of power, a lot of heat. Keep an eye on Azamat Murzakanov. Dude is a stud, undefeated fighter, and his stock is only growing into the UFC. The next fight that we're going to be discussing is Tanner Boser versus Ion Cutelaba. Tanner Boser has fought most of his career as a heavyweight fighter. He's now making the change to drop down to the light heavyweight division with a record of 20-9. He's going against Ion Cutelaba, who is a natural light heavyweight. His record is a 16-9, and Cutelaba is in a 3-fight losing streak. Both of these fighters have been in a little bit of a slump, and I do believe that this fight should be exciting, and I do believe that Tanner Boser will overwhelm Ion Cutelaba. Ion Cutelaba just, in my opinion, doesn't have all the pieces and all the technique to finish these top-level fighters. I'm not saying that Tanner Boser is a top-level fighter, but I do believe he will be the bigger fighter in the octagon and absolutely the stronger fighter because he fought for so long in the heavyweight division. The only thing that can go Ion Cutelaba's way is if the weight cut is unsuccessful for Boser, it overdrains him, and then that's the only way I could see him having the advantage. I do believe that Boser will make weight, his team will come in very professional, and he'll make quick work of Cutelaba with the striking and put him out, and this might be the last fight that Cutelaba will get to the promotion because he's already on a 3-fight losing streak. Guys, remember this fight is taking place in Kansas City, Missouri at the T-Mobile Center. The main card kicks off at 8:30 p.m. And guys, remember, like, follow, and subscribe us on absolutely all our platforms. We have some of the best merchandise in the game at notoriouspulls.com. And remember, if it ain't notorious, I don't want it. Your host, Fight Pass with Mitch, and we'll see you soon.